Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name's Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. If you guys are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that all of my groups and links are posted in the description below in case you guys want to check them out. Today's tutorial is day 4 of my 12 days of Christmas and I'm so excited to share this one with you. We are doing another slow flow snow globe tumbler tutorial. I am loving these slower flows, and today you will get to see what it looks like when I put clay sprinkles in there, and y'all can see how they also stay suspended, which I love. We are going to do 2 different lids. The first snow flow snow globe tumbler I did, we did a blinged lid on. That tutorial was released about a week or 2 ago. In today's tutorial, we are going to do one with a glittered lid and one with a fun faux whipped cream lid, which I love. Everything you see posted here will be covered in the tutorial, but as always, if you guys have questions about certain products or steps that I did, please just ask in the comment section and I will answer them for you. Also, don't forget that all of my 12 days of Christmas videos will have a giveaway associated with each tutorial, so make sure you check my tutorial group daily to find out what that day's giveaway is and how you can enter. For now, we're going to go ahead and get started on this tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget that I'm teaching a 2-day class at next year's TUMBLERCON. If you guys are interested in going, I do have a link in the description as well as a discount code for our class. I hope to see you guys there. Alright y'all, so here's everything you need for this tutorial. You need a snow globe style tumbler. This is a domed acrylic tumbler from the Stainless Depot. We're going to be using Elmer's Magical Liquid. This stuff is awesome. It is almost like a jelly consistency or gel. I'm also going to be using purified water. And then I have some other random stuff. I have my Happy Feet and Candytopia clay sprinkles. I'm going to be pulling a few from each of these bags. And I'm going to be using some light pink glitter, snowflakes, maybe some mica. I wasn't real sure what I was going to use, so I just kind of set everything out so it would be handy. So first, I'm going to take the tip of my hot glue gun and I'm just going to hold it onto the plastic of my tumbler, and this will melt a hole in the bottom of my cup. I do not have one of the hot fix tools. If you have one, you can use that. It would work just the same. But if you do not have a tool, there's no need to go out and purchase one if you have a hot glue gun handy. And I will show you guys how this melts. This one I just turned on, so it wasn't quite as hot as I normally would have it. You can also use a drill, and depending on what items I'm going to be putting in my snow globe, I will use a drill and drill the hole a little bit larger. I am just getting my tweezers right now and getting out any plastic pieces that may have fallen in the tumbler, because you don't want random plastic pieces just kind of floating around in there. So I'm just getting these loose pieces. And with the glue gun, you may have some plastic that's kind of not as flat as if you're going to use a hot fix tool. But I just take my blade and kind of pick off the pieces that may not be as flush as I would like, which you'll see me do in just a second. So I'm just kind of cleaning up the edges. So now we are ready to mix up our liquid. And these tumblers were actually my first ones using this magical liquid. And I read a few other descriptions or people that had used this magical liquid, and a lot of them said that they did a half and half mixture, or 3/4 of the magical liquid and 1/4 of water. And to me, that is still super thick. So I ended up kind of cutting down the ratio, and I probably did about 1/4 or 1/3 magical liquid and the rest water. And my flow is still very slow. But y'all can kind of see it in the bottle. It's almost like a thin jelly. But I just poured some in the bottle, and then I poured water on top of that, and then I just shook everything up just to get it all incorporated well. And these little bottles, I think I just picked up at Joann's. I typically use them for tie-dye or bleach. But they work well for snow globes too. So right now I was like, this still seems very thick. So I was adding some more water to see if that would thin it out a little bit. So I went ahead and dumped some mica in here. This is my mother of pearl white mica. I think that I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do at this moment. So I decided to pour about half of this mixture into a clear cup, which I used at a later point. I believe I used this for my blinged lid snow globe. So then I poured some more water in just to thin it out a little bit more. I was very surprised at how thick the magical liquid is. It is actually designed to be a slime activator. So it has that kind of slime consistency, but it's dense. So that's why it will hold your colorant or your glitter or clay sprinkles really well. So I was still checking it out, inspecting it, seeing if I liked this, and I poured some more out. Like I said, this was the first time that I used this, but it's also good to show you guys that you can play around with your mixture. What some people like, you may not like. You may like yours really thick, or you may want yours more thinned out. But the whole reason why I kind of stayed away from snow globes is because I hated when all of the glitter or clay sprinkles would sink to the bottom. And then you were just left with this clear tumbler with a pile of glitter towards the bottom, and you couldn't shake that up until you finished your drink. So this magical liquid allows for that kind of snow globe effect to stay on your tumbler always. I have left my snow globes sitting up for days, and I don't really need to shake it up. Some of the sprinkles may fall after a day or two, but for the most part, everything stays very well incorporated. The glitter stays suspended. The mica still looks gorgeous. So this is kind of what my consistency looked like. I'm trying to show you guys. So it's still pretty thick. And I decided to add a little bit of pink glitter in just to give it a slightly pink hue. And then we're going to shake this up again. My lid was not on very well. These little cheap bottles don't seal as well as I would like them to. But we're just going to shake it up. Sometimes the mica will kind of clump together, so I do try to shake it really well. But even if you get a little mica clump in your tumbler, you can still kind of squish it around and dissolve it, because I did have that happen to me. And this is one of those things where you can just add until you're happy with how your mixture looks. And once you're happy with it, we're just going to start filling our tumbler. And I will say that I wanted mine a little bit more opaque, so I added some more mica. Shook it up as well as I could. And then I decided to start putting my candy sprinkles in there. And this is Candy Topia. It is a new item on thedrunkflamingo.com. And I was just picking out certain colors. Since I was going for a pastel theme, I was going to be using like a mint green and pink vinyl. So I was just picking out the light green, blue, and pink peppermints. And then I just put the rest back in the bag. And I'm also going to be using the snowflakes from Happy Feet. Happy Feet is a super fun mix. It's penguins, pearls, little tiny diamonds, different colored snowflakes. But I just wanted a few little snowflakes in here. And then I realized that my hole was a little bit too small. So I just got my drill out and drilled the hole a little bit larger, because these candies were a perfect circle, so I could not really get them in the smaller hole. If it were just glitter, the smaller hole would have been fine. But I typically use a 1/4 of an inch drill bit if I'm drilling my holes. So I'm just putting all these little clay sprinkles in and just kind of knocking them down. And then I'm going to fill it up with the rest of the mixture. I decided not to add any other chunky glitter to this one. I wanted both of the snow globes to kind of be a little bit different. So one has chunky glitter and one has sprinkles. And this particular cup, I was having the hardest time trying to fill the liquid. For some reason, it kept coming back out of the hole. I don't know what the deal was. This was the only one where I had this problem on. I don't know why it was happening. Just one of those things where it always goes wrong. So once I filled the cup up as much as I could, I just got this little baby syringe. I think it held maybe a couple mils. And I'm just filling those air pockets. We want to try to get as much air out of this tumbler as we can. So I'm just kind of positioning the air bubbles right where our hole is, and we're just pumping this mixture into that air pocket. And I'm just kind of tapping the tumbler right now just to bring some of the air bubbles to the surface. Kind of seeing where the air bubbles are, kind of shaking it just to loosen any air pockets. And now we're going to fill the next one. We're going to fill it the exact same way. I'm just going to add a little bit more mica to our mixture, a little bit more water since we are just using glitter. We're just using the same mica as before, the mother of pearl. We're going to add a little bit more pink. I wanted a slightly more pink hue. And we are going to add some chunky glitter, but I am not going to put the chunky glitter into my liquid mixture. So we're going to shake this up just like before. So I am going to squirt a little bit of this mixture into my cup just so the glitter does not get trapped at the top of the tumbler. So this way the glitter will fall into the liquid. And we're going to be using Salted Caramel White Russian. This is also from my site, The Drunk Flamingo. This is one of my favorite chunky whites that I have. It has chunky opals and kind of specks of silver in it. It's really pretty. So I was just kind of getting all that glitter in the liquid just to see how I liked that. And then I also got a smaller funnel. So I'm just pouring the glitter into my funnel and then kind of tapping the tumbler, and all that glitter goes right in to my cup. Super easy way to get the glitter in there. So I'm just alternating between glitter and liquid just to see what it looks like. I don't want it to be overpowered with the glitter, but I also want it still pretty visible. And again, we're just filling this air bubble. Then we're going to break out a syringe and do the same thing that we did before, just filling that air bubble as much as we can. And then once we fill as much of that air as we can, I am going to let these cups sit overnight so that all those air bubbles can rise to the surface, because we want to try to get all that trapped air out. And there is my reliable train that always comes through. And these little syringes, I think that they just came from Amazon. Honestly, one of my friends gave them to me, but I'm sure y'all can find some from Amazon. And so y'all can see I am like filling this to the brim. We are trying to rid all of these air pockets. So now this is the next day. I am just going to use my shoulder massager, and I am just going to bang these on the side so that those air bubbles rise to the top. I've already done this. I just wanted to show you guys how I do it. If any air bubbles rise to the top, I just put a little bit more of that liquid in there. Then I'm using acetate sheets, and we are going to cut little half circles out of there. We are going to clean the bottom really well with alcohol, make sure all of that liquid is off the bottom. And I'm just cutting these sheets the size to cover the hole. This one had some little plastic pieces sticking up, so I wanted to make sure it was flat. Then I'm going to take my UV resin, and I'm just applying this UV resin around the hole that we made. If you want to use glue dots or something else to fill your hole, hot glue, you can definitely do that. This is just the way that I do it. I just lay my little piece of acetate on top of the UV resin. This one needed a little bit more. And I just make sure that that acetate lays flat down on top of that UV resin. And then we're going to cure this. So I will usually cure it for 2 minutes. And then we're going to mix up a little bit more UV resin with some glitter. And then we're just going to cover the very bottom of the cup. This one has a little cavity, so we're just going to fill that little cavity with this glitter UV resin mixture. The whole thing will be covered in epoxy anyway after we get our decals on, but I just want to get this UV resin layer on the bottom so that our little piece of acetate and our hole is protected. So I'm going to let this self-level for just a minute. Then we're going to cover the other cup. And once these have leveled for just a second, I am going to cure these bottoms again with my UV light. And once the bottom is cured, you can kind of shake it up, see how your flow is. Y'all can see that there is hardly any air in here. I was really happy with this flow. This glitter just kind of stays where it's at after you shake it. And then we will be ready for our next step. So I am going to decal these. I am loving the pastel colors for Christmas this year. Both of these decals will be available on thedrunkflamingo.com. And I decided just to do white, pink, and this teal blue. All of my vinyl I get at my local vinyl supplier, which is PerfecPress HTV. They're formerly known as JSI Signs. They are in Norcross, Georgia. If you guys have not been, their shop is amazing. They have changed so much over the years. I think I've used them since like 2015, I believe, is when I started going to their shop. And I really just purchased HTV from them at first. But they have changed so much. They even have like screen print transfers. Everything you can imagine they have. So I'm just taking this decal off. I am just going to center this one as best I can. The cup is tapered, so it may not be as straight as a perfectly straight tumbler would be. And then I'm just going to place the little stars. Already I was loving how this was looking. And here are my little candy canes and peppermints. These decals I got from Creative Fabrica. I will link them in the description. And I just cut them out in the non-traditional colors. And I just cut these out in different sizes. I believe the smaller peppermints were about 1 inch. The larger ones were slightly larger than 1 inch. And then I believe my candy canes were about just a little bit more than 2 inches. And here I am filming little clips for TikTok. Because you got to get that content, right? Oh, one more clip. Just kidding. That's the last one, I think. Alright, so now that I'm done filming TikTok, we are going to start placing our candy canes. And I just kind of placed them sporadically around the cup. I kind of alternated between candy canes, snowflakes, and peppermints. That way you didn't have a group of peppermints together or a group of candy canes together. And I also tried to alternate colors. So I tried not to place a green peppermint next to a green candy cane. Same for the pinks. And I think my dear friends are coming up to see me, guys. It's about 9 o'clock at night. Or 10 o'clock at night, actually. I think they want their little night treats. So here's what this one looked like. I thought it was so cute. And here's our little peppermint one all shook up. And this decal will also be available on thedrunkflamingo.com. And for my little strips, I cut these about 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. If you want yours thicker or thinner, you can definitely do that. I just cut these with my little Cricut cutter that I have. And I just trimmed the strips right at this line that is on the tumbler. That was kind of my guide for placing them. And no, I did not measure these. I am not a math person. I don't like measurements. If you guys watch my videos, y'all know that I hardly ever measure anything. So I was just eyeballing this. I placed one strip directly on the other side of the first strip that I placed and just wrapped that around. And then I placed 2 pink strips in between the original 2 strips. If you are a perfectionist, you can definitely measure. I am not knocking people that measure. I just don't. And then we are going to take our green strips and place them in between the pink strips. Again, I did not measure the distance between the pink strips and the green strips. I just popped them on and twisted them around. So I was really happy with how this was turning out. I thought it was super cute. Then I went and got some gold pinstripes. These were just on a sheet that I already had. If you guys have not seen how I do pinstripes, I just cut out a full sheet of pinstripes, so I will have them handy. I usually cut them in sizes 0.07, 0.05, and 0.07. That way I have different sizes if I want to layer them. So I am just placing the gold in between the green and the pink, or the teal and the pink, or mint, whatever color you want to call this. And I was really liking how this cup was coming together. And once we get all of our stripes on there, we are going to put our decal on. Which is Jolly Vibes. And I just layered this on a white backing. And then I did some chrome gold little stars. Sometimes the chrome vinyl is a little bit more difficult to pick up with the transfer tape. So I just placed them with my tweezers. And then we're just going to place this in the center of our cup. And I decided to use the last two candy canes that I had. I thought that would look cute on the back side of the tumbler. And when you're done with this, we are going to tape off the rim of our cup, just where that lip starts. And then we are going to apply our epoxy. And the silver one was a tutorial that I put up a couple weeks ago, but I will link it now in case you guys want to check out how I did that one. I also did a blinged lid for that cup that I think turned out really pretty. So we are just applying epoxy, and then I am wiping from from top to bottom. I usually wipe from bottom to top, but since we taped off the rim, I am wiping from top to bottom, getting rid of any of that excess epoxy. We are just putting a thin layer on the bottom. And as soon as we get that epoxy on there, I'm going to go ahead and pull that tape. So that way we don't get a harsh line of epoxy. It will be smooth, almost a seamless transition from the lip of the tumbler to the body of the tumbler. And then we're going to torch it and pop all the bubbles. I will do one more coat of epoxy just to make sure those decals are covered really well. And then we're going to move on to the lid. So this is the tool that I used for my topping. This is kind of like a clay extruder, but for icing. It's a tool that I've had for a really long time when I used to bake a lot, and I thought, that may be a really good tool to use to pipe out this Model Magic clay. So I am using foam clay for my lid. I am not mixing it with anything. I have seen a few different ways to make your own faux whipped cream. I tried a few different ways, but all of them seem to be a little too watery and really just kind of blended together and muddled together once it was on the lid, and I just really did not like how it looked. So I just piped out the foam clay by itself. If you were trying to pipe this by hand, I don't know if you could do it. Even using this little extruder, it was pretty tough for me to do. I was really kind of pushing the plunger onto my cabinet door to kind of get that clay to push through the piping tip. But it's definitely doable. I probably did it 3 different times before I got the look I wanted. I was trying different things. So if I can do it, you guys can do it, or get your husbands to do it. And then I just kind of wrapped this around the dome lid. And this is just to get the shape. I am going to seal this. So once you get it all on there, I just took my little silicone tool, blended any parts that needed blending. If anything needed reshaping, the silicone tools are super handy. It's almost like working with clay. I mean, it is a Model Magic clay. I did not use the Model Magic brand. I had one off Amazon. I will link in the description. And once you're happy with how your dome lid looks, we are going to let this dry overnight. I also popped the lid off once it was hard. And then I let the inside dry because it was still a little moist or wet. So I let this part dry. And while that part is drying, we're going to work on our other lid. So I'm just mixing up some glitter. I just used the same glitter that we used on the inside of our tumbler. I buffed this lid with a sanding block, and I'm just taking UV resin and painting it on the tumbler lid. And I buffed the lid just so the epoxy or the resin had something to grab onto. It's not a slick surface. And once that is covered with UV resin, I am just sprinkling on my glitter mixture. And this pink is not available on my site right now. It is one of the Advent box colors. But comparable colors that I have would be Kinky Blow Pop, Starburst Martini, Pinko Colada. I have a lot of fun light pinks available. And once we get the top covered with glitter, I am going to cure this under our UV light. And I will cure it a couple times, turn it, cure it again. And when I think that it is dry, I will put another layer of UV resin on. I will cure that. Then I will sand down any little pieces that need to be sanded down and put a final coat of UV resin on the lid. You can use epoxy if you want to, but to me, nobody is going to be putting their mouth on this lid. It is clearly designed for a straw. So I don't see why UV resin could not be used. I think it will be fine. So this was just our second layer. I did 3 coats total, just lightly painting the UV resin on, and I got great coverage. So now we are back to our other tumbler. I did buff this lid as well. I am going to do a thin layer of UV resin on this lid with white dispersion color and mother of pearl mica. And the reason why I am painting this on my lid, we are going to cure it, is because I don't want just a clear plastic lid shining through the whipped cream topping. I want it to appear like the underneath side is also white, so there won't be such a big color difference if you have any blank spaces kind of peeking through. So that way this will be the same color as the whipped cream topping. I'm just sprinkling some white glitter that I had on top. I really wasn't too concerned with what color it was as long as it was white. And we're just going to cure that as well. Once that is cured, I'm going to take our faux whipped cream topper and I am also going to coat that in UV resin. I'm using the same mixture, just the pearlescent mixture. That way it just gives kind of a creamy feel. And the reason why I am coating this, I did test the clay and it did not appear to disintegrate in water. So I don't think that, you know, this topper coming in contact with water when you wash it or anything would be a problem. However, this could be a porous clay and I don't want it to kind of soak up anything or get bacteria or anything like stuck in there. If y'all know me, I really like to make my toppers as sanitary as I can. If I can't make them removable, then I am going to seal everything in. So that way the entire whipped cream topper is going to be sealed in UV resin. That way, once we put it back on our dome, that part is going to be sealed. The dome is going to be sealed in UV resin. So when you go to wash it, everything is going to be sealed. So you're not going to worry about anything getting into the topper or things like that. At least that was my thinking while I was doing this. And I am just going to cure this a few different times. I will actually take this outside and cure everything in the sun. That's my preferred way to seal things with UV resin. But for the video's sake, I'm just going to show you guys how you can also do it with a light. I'm also kind of turning it upside down just to make sure that the light hits all the underneath parts, things like that. Now I am just taking clear UV resin, and we're just going to do one more coat on the domed lid. I already sanded this part a little bit, make sure all the little bumps are smoothed down. Because again, I just want to make a smooth surface so nothing gets stuck on there. So we will cure that part, and then we're going to work on the inside of our topper. We're just taking clear UV resin again and painting the entire inside, making sure everything is covered. And we are going to cure that with our light. Again, this is just so our entire topper is going to be coated in resin. That way no water can get inside of it and cause any problems. So once everything is cured, we are going to fit our topper back on. Now, I did not account for the UV resin adding a thicker layer, so my domed whipped cream topper did not fit as flush as it did before, or it fit flush, it was just a little bit higher. So luckily, I made a couple different toppers to see which one I would like. So I just took a little piece of one of the other toppers and just fit it in to some of the blank space. So I am just fitting it in there. See which way it looks best. I'm just trimming some ends. And once I kind of have it how I like, I am just going to take some more UV resin, and we're just going to kind of hold that in place just so it attaches to the other piece of the topper. And then we're going to get some UV resin. I am mixing a little bit of this mica in with it just so the color matches the rest of the topper, because this one was white. And after this is cured, I am going to take everything outside and cure it really well with the sun. I will also paint the underneath side of that little piece that I just put on with UV resin. And once everything is good and hard, I'm going to go back with a little liquid fusion and just kind of squirt some glue in some of these spots just to hold the topper on really, really well. I don't think it would pop off like this, but it doesn't hurt to have that little extra adhesion. And then we will be done with both of these cups. You can screw your lid on and they will be complete. So here are some finished pictures of these tumblers. I love how they look. You guys can see the mica looks awesome, just kind of pillowed out in the tumbler. The glitter is still suspended. And I think the glitter lid was really pretty as well, and it matched the liquid of this snow globe tumbler really nicely as well. And then the ice cream or the whipped cream topper is also super fun. Y'all can see the little floating peppermints. Both of these cups were super fun to make. If you guys make any of these tumblers, please make sure to post in one of my groups. I always love to see what you guys come up with. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group on Facebook or my mentorship group. Both are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.